Well, I'm joined by Claire and Karen here, and we are at the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority. We're talking pensions, and I know it doesn't look it, but I'm going that way very fast now, so I'm very interested. You're trying to raise some awareness. I mean, there's a lot of people who just don't know what's going on out there. So let's take this away. Let's have a chat. Someone watching this now, what is the state of things? What should they be doing, thinking about?
Yeah, well, it's the campaign is really focused on getting people thinking and talking about pensions.
Yeah.
So I think the first step that we took was to develop a lovely brochure, quite colourful, actually very spring-like, that is available in a number of locations, available on our website, Pension Matters, and it really talks about the things you should be doing and thinking about as you prepare for your retirement. And when we say prepare for retirement, it could be at 20, at 30, at 40, at 50, the kinds of steps you should be taking. Yes, 50 as well.
Thank you very much. I mean, you've got the graph in there showing where the state pension is going. And it's not the most exciting graph in the sense of, you need to make some provisions, right?
I think what with regard to that graph, which is in the brochure, I'll just whiz that up. Yeah. So what this is showing, this graph, and you won't be able to see it very well on the screen, but on that page, that is showing the middle income, so for people on the Isle of Man, half of the middle income, and then what the basic state pension has been over the last 20 years. And what you'll see from that is that there's quite a big difference between the basic state provision without any supplements, etc., and the middle income that people are earning. Now, that doesn't mean that the state pension isn't providing a good safety net for people, but what it does mean is you need to consider how much you're earning at the moment, what your expenses are likely to be like when you retire, and what's the gap between that and the state pension so that you can afford to do the things you want to do. Otherwise, you might find that you can't afford to do everything you'd like to do when you retire. And that's a really key message for us.
Is there a rule of thumb about roughly how much of someone's salary they should be putting aside themselves? 20% comes to me, but is it like something?
Well, it depends on when you start saving. And again, the brochure has some nice little graphics, and that's what's been fun about the brochure. It's very pictorial, so easy to read. Some nice little pictorials around, at 20, what you should be saving with, assumed interest rate 30, 40, 50. And it gives you a bit of a benchmark in terms of things to think about. And I think one of the key, very positive messages in the brochure, it's never too late to think about pensions.
And never too early.
And never too early. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, people must, you don't give advice and all that sort of thing, but you must get people coming in sometimes a bit of a pickle, right?
We tend not to deal with people so much. I mean, that would be more citizens' advice or the OFT. But
we've all heard the stories, haven't we?
We have. And I think the important thing from our point of view is that people have good quality information. When we started working on this, and we are working in conjunction with the UK Personal Finance Society, which is a professional body in the UK, and we've also worked with Isle of Man Government and also the Office of Fair Trading on this campaign as well. But one of the important things that we thought was there's a lot of information out there about pensions, and anyone who turns on the telly will see the workplace pension person coming along, auto-enrolment. Isle of Man is a bit different. We don't have those concepts over here necessarily. And there is a lot of consumer information about pensions out there, but that information isn't tailored to the Isle of Man. So what we wanted to do was, one, raise the issue, get people talking about it, thinking about it not being the thing you put off forever, actually address the issue, and then provide them with some basic information and links to where they can find out more information. So the website, as well as having our leaflets on it, it's got links to UK research about pensions. It's got links to PensionWise in the UK, so you can look at pension calculators, more information about how pensions work, and there's links to quite a lot of information in there that hopefully people will find useful.
So which website do they go to?
Okay, well, for this, whilst it is accessible from our own website,
IMFSA.
Yeah, it's actually, we've got a bespoke area within that, which is www.pensionmatters.im. So it links in with the whole campaign, and that's an area that we're going to add more information over time, so that it should develop and hopefully work well for people with tips, the types of things people need to think about at different ages as well, because a 20-year-old, or certainly me as a 20-year-old, my pension was the very last thing on my mind. I was probably thinking more about going out, having a good time, going on holiday. the irony is that's probably one of the times, once I was working properly, that I had the most disposable income, but I didn't do any saving whatsoever. Later on, you get your family, you've got your mortgage, and everything becomes a little bit tighter on the finances. And so it's very important that people know about the importance, and then they can make their own decision. This isn't us or anybody telling people you must do this. It's saying, look at what you want to do when you retire, and then think about how you're going to be able to support yourself.
Now, it's interesting to talk about the UK and here, because the things are moving separate ways. I mean, we've had this thing, Alf Cannon's making the Manx pension, and they're going to phase out the differences and that sort of thing. Again, this kind of effect on people, right?
It will, and this is why this is not necessarily linked to the Isle of Man government's decision, but it was a good time to launch the campaign to raise the awareness. And so some of the things that we've observed in the UK have been useful stats to help inform our campaign, and we hope to be able to do a survey in the Isle of Man to sort of understand a bit better the extent to which people have a level of awareness on their pensions. Because when they did the survey in the UK, it was interesting, to your point earlier on, Paul, a lot of people never check their pension plan. They may check their bank account every couple of weeks, but when it comes to the pension plan, you know, they may wait to within 2 years of retirement. Or I've heard cases of people.
You're looking at me?
I am.
Yeah.
I've heard cases of people the day before they retire. This is back in Canada. They'll go into the HR office and say, "Tell me about my pension." So really, it's trying to get out there and say to people, don't be afraid of it. It's not a scary subject. Some good material out there. Be proactive.
Do you direct people to where they should get the advice? And is what you're saying, is it? I mean, because you don't do it yourself, but you can know people who do.
From my point of view, I head up the investments team at the authority, and we regulate financial advisors. And there is a list of financial advisors available on the website if people want to know who we regulate. Nobody is allowed to provide financial advice to consumers unless they are regulated by us from that point of view. So we wouldn't recommend one over another, because clearly that wouldn't be appropriate, but there are people out there who can give you advice if you find it a difficult topic and it's too big. People don't have to take financial advice, but if they're unclear, it is something I personally would do.
Well, if nothing else from today, hopefully we've got some people thinking. You got me thinking, that's for sure. I need to do something. I mean, it's like putting the doctor off almost, isn't it? When you've got or a toothache, you just keep, I'll do it tomorrow, but you shouldn't.
And it's very powerful. I think the thing we wanted to make it was a positive, powerful campaign in terms of taking control of your financial future. I will do one little note of caution, because we always should. The one thing we do say to people, little caveat, be aware of fraud, because you know you have an opportunity to think about your future, invest your money wisely. You have to always be very cautious. You know, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. High risk, high reward, high risk. Think about those things, and that's why we do say to people, think about getting advice, because you really have to. It's your future, and you're planning for your future.
And likewise, you hear these stories, probably not over here, about people withdrawing the whole lot and buying a Ferrari the next day, you know, and then they've got nothing left.
Yeah.
Obviously not today, but...
Yeah, I mean, and that's not a position I think most people want to be in. It's sort of, and actually there is a very serious point about that, that people don't realise how long they're likely to be retired for. So it's not uncommon, in fact it is the norm and the expectation that people be retired for about 20 years on average. That's quite a lot of income to try and fill up. And then I think there's another stat which the Securities Institute's research came out with, which is that 24% of women and 17% of men are expected, this is current 65-year-olds, are expected to live until they're 100.
You see, when I interviewed Eddie Tier, when he was in finance all these years ago, he reminded me when they set up the pension in the UK, the whole thing, it's like about a year was about the sort of expectation level. That's how things have moved so fast, and will keep going.
Yeah, and what you want to do, you know, you want to be retired and be able to afford to do the things you want to do and to be comfortable, not be scrimping and saving.